I have been following all your videos you normally post on YouTube. How many times do you wash your locks from the beginning till date? Now, if you stay tuned right to the end of this video, I'm going to answer this question. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. Hi, I'm Emmanuel from Freedom Locs, bringing you yet another fantastic video about Freeform locks. Okay, one of the best forms of dreadlocks you can find out there. Alright, so today I'll be answering a question, alright, from Kwame Barfi. Thank you, by the way, Kwame Barfi, for contributing to my channel, for responding to my videos. So he says, I have been following all your videos you normally post on YouTube. How many times do you wash your locks from the beginning till date? From the beginning till date, how many times do you wash your locks? This is an age-old question, you know, when you're on your dreadlock journey. And in fact, when you asked that question, I just remembered how, you know, I was binge watching YouTube videos at the time, and I was looking for all, you know, the videos at the time to find out how many times I needed to wash my hair, you know, which is the topic of this video today. Like the topic of today is how often do you need to wash your dreadlocks, particularly freeform dreadlocks, okay? Or do you even have to wash them at all? Because frankly, there are people out there who really think that, you know, we never wash our hair at all. Or maybe we'll probably wash like once or twice a year. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so I'm gonna go straight into it, and you know, much of this is really based on my own experience. Really, I try on my videos to really give you like what works for me. Okay, it might not work for you, depending on different factors. So the first thing is I wash my hair once a week, right? At the beginning, I dabbled a little bit with this because, you know, like I was saying, I watched some videos here and there, and I was trying to get the experience from people who are like me, and I tried to relate to them. And there was a time when I was doing it like once every 2 weeks, alright? Particularly when I was like really just starting out, you know, I had that anxiety, like if I wash this thing too often, won't it unravel the lock, you know? So right now I've settled to once a week, okay? Today is Monday, and yeah, I try to like wash like every Monday or on the weekends, okay? That's when it's easy for me and I have time to actually let it dry out, and you know, it's more relaxing for me to do it that way. So I just do it once a week. Now the second thing is, you have, from my experience, there are just two determinants: experience, and by the way, what experience of other persons or other races, by the way, okay? There are two things here that should determine how often you need to wash your hair, right? The first thing is your hair type. Yeah, your hair type. The thing is, you know, I'm gonna, as you can see right here, these are the different hair types, okay? From type 1 right up to 4C, alright? So, the general rule here is the straighter your hair is, right? The straighter your hair, the more frequent you need to have it washed. I'm going to explain why. I have a video, by the way. Check out that video on my channel. It's entitled the top best oil for freeform locks. Okay, I explain it there in detail. So the general rule, like, you know, for hair type, right? For straight hair, you will expect to wash your hair more often. I can't put a number on it like twice a week or every day, but here's the reason. You know, straight hair, by its very nature, right, it's straight, okay? What happens is, if you do a cross section of your scalp, alright, where you can see the hair follicle, I'm going to project an image for that so that it'll be easy for you. Yeah, that's it. So if you look at your hair follicle, around the hair follicle, at the root of your hair follicle, you have these things called sebaceous glands. These sebaceous glands secrete something called sebum. You see, sebum is your natural hair oil, right? It's just amazing what your hair and how the creator made it. So sebum is in this sebaceous glands, and this sebaceous glands secrete it every now and then. All right, so it goes from the base of your hair, at the root of your hair, and this content of your glands, which is the sebum, gets spilled onto the scalp right there, and a certain amount of it then trickles down from the root. It trickles rather up or down, no matter how you want to see it, depending on how you want to see it. It goes from the root. This sebum leaves from the root, and it goes right down, right all along the hair shaft. Okay, of course, a lot of it also spills out on the scalp. So when you have straight hair, right? When you have straight hair, you would expect that this sebum would easily flow from the root right up to the tip of the hair, right, of the hair shaft. That is very easy, right? It's an effortless process for persons who have straight hair. I've never had straight hair before. I don't have any close friends at the moment, who have straight hair. But you see, the experience is that kind of hair tends to be easily greasy, because then the sebum trickles down the shaft easily. Now, when you have very curly hair, and this is like for my 4C gang, right? That's the other extreme. But then you have the from 2B, 3A, right down to 4C, where it is the curliest. What happens is, and this is just pure physics, okay? What happens is the sebum is secreted, right? But then because the hair is curly, it takes more time to actually spread out onto the hair. Okay, so it's just pure logic. All right, so you would expect that when you have straight hair, right, you would have a tendency to want to do frequent washes, because that sebum, the hair and the scalp gets very oily. This sebum is there. I'm talking also in a particular case here, if you are a person who doesn't use hair oil, or I'll talk about that in the second part of this, because I'm saying that there are two things that determine how often you should wash your hair, right? And we're talking about your hair type, right? So in effect, what I'm trying to say is that if you have straight hair, you have a tendency you would need to wash your hair more often than someone who has the type 4C hair, which is like the curliest of all the hair types, right? So it's for you to just choose, you know your hair type. You have to just go with what works for you, right? What works for me really is just once a week. I just realized that in the course of the week, I really don't need to. Now, there are particular cases here, and I'll talk about that in the second. This brings me to the second point, right? Is product use. Whether or not you use products on your hair ultimately determines also how often you need to wash your hair or your locks, right? So if you're the sebum only, like what I call sebum only is if you're growing your locks and you're not using any hair products, then that's what I call sebum only. You're only using your natural hair oil, which is sebum. Then you really don't have any trouble. You don't need to wash your hair often, right? Because number one, since you're not using any external products, onto your scalp, like the gels or the oils, there's a high chance that you don't have any buildup in your hair. So you generally not need to wash your hair too often. Okay. Remember, in this video today, I won't really tell you like how many times you need to wash your hair, right? You can figure that out, because this really depends on, first of all, your convenience. Number two, your hair type, and whether or not you use products. Okay? So if you don't use any products on your hair, and you probably have like 4C hair or any hair that is very curly, you might want to do like 1 or 2 washes a week. Okay, if you really want the number, like 1 or 2 washes a week will go for you. Now, if you're using gels and conditioners, which on our channel we really don't promote the use of any conditioners or sebum or gels or hair oils, okay? And it's just for the reason that we believe that the sebum is just good enough, particularly if you have type 4C hair, okay? So if you're using gels and conditioners, then you need to wash your hair more frequently. I can't put a number on that, okay? But it's just logic just demands that if you're going to be putting gels on your hair, then at least you have to wash your hair more frequently, because then if you let it there for too long, then you develop buildup, right? And you really don't want that in your locks, right? Because these external agents, right, you have to be very selective if you really want to use gels, okay? Because generally what it does is that it would coat your scalp, and what will happen is, and I really explained this in my video, what happens is when that gel or hair oil or conditioner coats your scalp, what happens is your scalp or your sebaceous glands are going to go through what is called in medical terms a negative feedback loop mechanism. What happens is your scalp would perceive that your hair isn't receiving enough sebum when you've applied that gel. So what is it going to do? It's going to go through a multiplier effect. It's going to say in effect that, oh, I'm producing sebum, but the sebum isn't getting to the scalp, it's not getting to the hair. So what do I have to do? I have to produce more sebum, right? So that's what happens when you start heavily applying gels. You realize that not only your hair, you'll be getting too much buildup in your hair. That's why your hair will start itching at one point, because then you have this extra secretion of sebum added to these gels again that are in your hair. So you have this mess trapped in there in your locks, on your scalp, and that is difficult to deal with. So you would need to wash your hair more frequently to avoid this kind of scenario, right? So those are the two determinants. So there's a bonus tip I want to leave you with right now, okay? It's cold water. It's better to use cold water in the locks, right? Cold water helps to tighten up your locks, right? For my crew or my gang out there, if you're just really starting out, you just have starter locks, right? By the way, I just came from a wash this morning, right? That's why I have this towel on. Okay, so cold water, what cold water actually helps to tighten up the lock easily, right? Relative compared to warm or hot water, right? Warm water would have a tendency to detangle the locks. That's why if you're going to any salon, right, generally what is used is warm water, because warm water easily detangles the hair, right? So you really don't want to use that on your locks. Okay, you want to use cold water on your lock anytime that you're doing your washes, right? When you do that, then you'll realize that after a wash, every time you wash your hair, your locks would seem firmer and firmer each time you do that, right? So that's my video of the day. I hope that Kwame Barfi, you had an answer to your question. So I'm now on my 10th month right now. I started around April, this is let's say 11th month right now. Okay, so I've not been consistent with once a week. I started doing the once a week thing just probably around July or so. So if you add that up, then you can get the number of times that I've washed my hair actually, from the time that I started my lock journey till date. So I'll be catching you on the next video. In the meantime, guys, let's stay locked, okay? This is the best journey you can have. It's so rewarding. So stay locked in your journey. Keep washing your hair, guys. Wash your hair, okay? It doesn't have to stink. Have a wash. Determine the number of times that is convenient for you. Once a week works for me. You might determine that twice a week might be okay for you. So I'll catch you in the next video. Stay locked.